Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Mick the Machine. You are indeed first. Hi, CJ. Jelly. Woof Boot Chronicles. Waff Boot. Woof. Waff Boot. Stylus. It's Stylus, everybody. You know Stylus from all those battle reports that are on that awesome YouTube channel, Winter's SEO. Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, Andy. How's the sound? Hopefully the sound's good. I properly checked it. You know all the sound issues that we've been having? How's the sound this evening? Waiting for the studio to respond. Anyone? Is the mic on? The mic is on. The thing is sounds good on my end. So that's a 50-50 then. Either the mic is off or it is good up friendly neighborhood inquisitor's end. It's good up there apparently. I think it's okay. Sound is good, CJ. Sound is good. CJ sounds like a sensible kind of guy, doesn't he? CJ is definitely some hipster surfer dude from South Florida. And on the weekends, he crochets curtains out of recycled fishing nets that he's got from out in the Florida Keys. You know what I mean? Jelly loved the latest battle report. Oh yeah, the Black Templars versus the Death Guard. That one was a fun one to play at 3,000 points. One of the funnest games of 10th edition I've played so far. And Sultan really enjoyed it as well. Hello, Epic. Sultan really enjoyed it as well because he's been struggling with 10th edition. He's been struggling with it. He started in 8th. He hasn't been through as many changes. You're a yak picker up from off. You're a pit yakker from up north. With a name like CJ. Dude, I got that. Well, you know, you can always, I mean, I could dream that there are people in my chat who are surfer dudes off the coast of South Florida who make curtains out recycled fishing nets on the weekends in their spare time and hang out, and they've got dreadlocks and they're just hanging out and having a great time. You know what I mean? I can dream that my chat is sophisticated like that and not pit yakkers from up north. So I'll keep hold of the dream for now, CJ. I keep hold of the dream. Don't believe the lie. You see, it's the internet as well. I just read on the internet there that you're a pit yakker from up north, and you shouldn't believe what you read on the internet, should you? You shouldn't. Anyway, good evening, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Hands up in the chat if you saw my latest battle report. Let's see what we're working with here this evening. So while we're waiting for hands up in the chat to see how many of you, there's less than 30 tonight. We're starting off slow. I think I went to bed early. Did I go too early? Hands up in the chat if you saw my latest battle report. Hands up and hello to everyone in the Mug Club who's a member of the Mug Club. Anyone who's bought my merch. We didn't sell any new mugs in the last week. So Mug Club members out there, and I know some of you are in the VOD squad who watch this afterwards. We're an exclusive club of 48 muggers. 48, I'm looking at my numbers. 48 muggers in the world. So we're exclusive. It's out of the big old world. There's not 50 of us. But there's over 30 of us here now. Hands up. We have 5 people, and Mick the Machine rewatched it. Nice. So you put up your hand twice. That was good, that one. I enjoyed that one. And that was good, that one. So yeah, hello to all the members. Hello to everyone in the chat. Good to see you this evening. Cause 47 because I'm on tour. I don't know what that means, but good to see you all in the chat. Nice to see you dropping in this evening and this evening. Hello, Rum Diaries. Just became a tier 3, so got a lot to get through. Well done. Thank you, Epic Votan, for becoming a tier 3 channel member. Guys, and anyone in the VOD squad watching this afterwards, if you'd like to support me, then please become a channel member. At tier 1, you get the custom media emojis and badges. At tier 2, it unlocks my Discord. And at tier 3, you get an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. How'd you like them apples? And basically, here's the other thing. Without people like Epic Votan and the members out there, I wouldn't be here doing the voodoo that I do so well and spilling it all over the internet. No one would be getting anything if it wasn't for you guys. So cheers to you. Cheers to you in the Mug Club. Ah, damn it, sometimes I can string a sentence together and sound professional. Most of the time when I'm saying thank you and subscribe and stuff, I find that really awkward. I'm not a fan of it. Thank you for joining my club, Andrew. I just find it really awkward. Like doing the intros on the videos as well. Stylus has been in the room. He's in the chat. And when I'm not very good at doing the thing. So, and when I can, and string a sentence together, I impress myself. When will you play your Grey Knights again? Jelly, that is a good question. When will I play my Grey Knights again? I'll tell you what. I was really looking at the 40k stuff that I've got, because I know I've been leaning heavily into Death Guard 13th and the Necrons. The 13th I'm really enjoying playing in this mini campaign that we're doing, which is up for tier 3 channel members. And we're going back. We're doing it. Anyway, I have, for the first time in 3 years, picked up the AdMech. And I've done 2. So they'll be coming to the YouTubes at some point. There is a bit in the way between there and now. I've got to get the Orc ones out first, because the Orc Codex changes in the spring. But the AdMech, I've tried with the AdMech. So when will I play Grey Knights again? Well, come back to me in about 3 months, and poke me again, because right now I'm doing the AdMech. It's shambolic, isn't it, Wolfbook Stylus? It's shambolic. Why are you Wolfbook Chronicles in the chat? Why will you refuse to change your name to just Stylus? It will make this much easier for me and for everyone else who tunes in. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, thank you for your 15 months. Mr. Loremaster, here's a question. I haven't even introduced the Loremaster part yet, but you're already ahead of me. That's why you're a member for 15 months. And we have a super chat. So from Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, did any of the Primarchs actually like Konrad Kurz, or was he just universally despised? They all didn't like. Well, not all of them despised him, but none of them liked him. Mick the Machine, thank you for the first super chat of the evening. I appreciate you. When will the 13th Militarum be on the channel, dude? Brand, thank you. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate you. The 13th Militarum. So it's not really a lore question. What it is way back, even it started back before I started the YouTubes. Back before I started the YouTubes, I only had one army for a very long time. I've been in the hobby forever, since Rogue Trader, playing various games. My main jam back in the day was epic and board games like Talisman, Space Hulk, Hero Quest, Apocalypse. Played a bit of Apocalypse, but I didn't really get to playing 40k and collecting a full Space Marine army until 4th edition, and started putting the other ones aside a bit more. And the 13th Militarum always came out with a 13th lore. So here's an answer to your question. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ask the Loremaster live stream. We'll be asking the Loremaster this evening some lore questions. And yes, he will be answering it for you, because the Loremaster is none other than myself. I looked around to try and find a better Loremaster, but I couldn't. And Luton wasn't available. So you've got me. So tonight we'll be asking lore questions. I'll be going on rants like this. So if you want to really ping my attention, I suggest it's some kind of stupid super chat, because I know another question just went up, but I ain't reading that one anytime soon, because I'm diving into what happened to the 13th Militarum, because Mick dropped the first super chat of the evening. And yes, I know. Loremaster, is that a stretch? No, I tell you, it is not a stretch. I'm also the 2021 Legend of Legends champion, GT master. I can talk about these things. I've been deep in the hobby, yo. So grab yourselves, grab your flat caps, grab a hold of your mugs. We're answering the first lore question of the evening. What the hell happened to the 13th? Well, it goes back to the lore of the 14th. The 13th Space Marine chapter only really started getting some teeth when they became a community of millions of civilians and brought on board the 13th Militarum. And the original thumbnail for Winter's SEO 10 years ago showed some of the 13th Militarum and a Primera Psyker. That was my original banner running along the top. And they were always going to be the next project. And I started working on them, and I started adding a little bit more. And then AdMech came out, and AdMech are my favorite lore faction, so I ended up getting loads of AdMech. And then the YouTube channel started around that time at the same time, and then project after project after project. And then I added to the 13th Militarum only a couple of years ago with some walkers and some tanks and some scions. And that means I'm almost at a 13th Militarum level army where I can almost play it almost, and I'm not there yet. So that's what happened to the 13th. What happened was, it's a tale of woe. What happened is I'm sure all of you guys out there have got hobby projects, and some you start, and some you even finish. Some you don't start at all. And the 13th Militarum is one of those hobby projects that I'm afraid I haven't ever really finished. They have featured in a few of the campaigns and the narrative missions that I've done, either on DZTV or for members now for the last year and a bit now. So you will and sometimes see them in them, but there are projects, the 13th, that I never ever got around to completing, really. I'm looking forward to getting there, though. When will that be is another question. Come back in 3 months and poke me again. Evening Weeb, evening Daniel Ragone, Weeb Postmuma. Whew. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Loremaster is in session, answering any lore questions that you have this evening. There is still time. Thank you. Yeah, my Craft World Dianan is then what never finished. Friendly neighbor Inquisitor. There you go. Craft World Dianan, never finished and will never likely to continue. 3 isn't there? There's the ones you start. There's the ones you actually finish, and then there's the ones that don't ever happen at all. There's a lot of starters out there. Finishing the project is the tricky part. I do recommend finding a great YouTube channel and listening to all the stuff in the background while you paint, or get Audible. They've really helped me. I enjoy my hobby time now. So yes, we're here answering any lore questions. I can start you off with some lore if you'd like to. I'd happily rant away with some questions about the 13th. Because somebody came here the other day to play me, who filmed, I think it was the second guy who went up against the AdMech, asked me a 13th question, which meant he hadn't actually watched the storytime videos. So if you go to Witness SEO, go along to the playlist, there's storytime videos on the 3rd. He hadn't listened to them. And I was really offended. I picked him up and body slammed him on the table, said, "Yo!" and gave him some full down about the 13th and sent him out of here humbled. Rocking my WWE moves in on him. When will we see Ella Ashbel return? When will we see Ella Ashbel return? From the last Imperial, thank you for your donation. I will plug my Loremaster brain into the Loremaster computer and give you an answer of 3. 3. I don't think, CJ, thanks for your question. I don't believe the Fallen will not fade into history or come back as a Chaos sub-faction. The Fallen, the ones at least forgiven by Lionel Johnson, will become the Risen and will slowly reform with the reformed Dark Angels Legion. I can see them going back up over time to Legion strength with many of the Risen. The Fallen who have fallen all the way to Chaos, the ones who slipped off the deep end, well, they'll be hunted like the traitors they are. Das and Des, thank you for your 18 months. Appreciate you. Mick the Machine, will the 13th ever try to rescue Chaplain Snow? Oh, it's very likely. The story time ended with what I thought was his death. But the persons who captured him have loudly and repeatedly assured me that he is not dead. That he is being carefully looked after. He's well fed by the word bearers, Chaplain Snow. He gets at least 3 meals a day. He's doing fine. He's got Xbox privileges and everything. They have told me that he's very much alive and not being mistreated in any way, shape or form, and I can come and get him. So it's just a case of logging that bullet in the chamber and firing it to tell the story of the rescue of Chaplain Snow, not the trap, which it will be, as we run headlong into the trap. And I'll write another lovely narrative list for our first mission in that game and our second mission in that game, which led to the capture of Chaplain Snow against the Word Bearers and the Demons. 2 lovely narrative lists, and the people I'll be playing against, and if they're in the VOD squad, then they'll listen to this later, and if someone out there who knows them in the chat somewhere can hit them up. But their lists were like, we're coming to make sure we score all the primaries and the secondaries and things. My lists were, here's what the 13th would have at that time. Not that I'd bring that up to them, because I haven't brought it up to them, and instead encouraging people on the internet to find them and bring it up to them that might know the last Imperial or the other guy, I forget his name, someone. Anyway, but yeah, I'll bring my narrative list and try and rescue Chaplain Snow, and we'll see. It's not gonna go well. So I might have been a bit hesitant about setting the whole thing up. I've been thinking about it, and we'll get there in the end. Why the pressure? Why are you pressuring me? We'll get there in the end. Okay, we will rescue him. I know it's been a while, but he's been treated fine. He's still got all of his fingers. They haven't introduced him to his new best friend, Fabius Bile, yet. This is the Word Bearers we're talking about. They've probably been praying to him. Let's face it, Chaplain Snow is an absolute G. I'd pray to him. Then he'd probably kill you because, you know, he's a chaplain and all that, and that's very heretical. What are we talking about? How do the 13th maintain Astartes numbers? So that's a good question, Mootle Doodle. So you need to listen to the storytime videos in the playlist. But essentially, here is the lore for you. Let me tell you a story about the 13th. Who are the 13th? Well, the 13th founding. Every now and then, the Adeptus Terra founds another Space Marine chapter after the first. The second founding, of course, first happening after the heresy, and we've had over 20. And during the 13th founding, it was the Reign of Blood. It was the Civil War, Van Dyer's Reign of Blood that tore the galaxy into, and the largest civil war since the heresy happened. At the end of which the Sisters of Battle were born, by the way. During the 13th founding, during the Reign of Blood, the Adeptus Terra no longer has any gene seed samples for the Space Marines that were founded them, but they're very hard to kill Space Marines. There would have been a drop pod full of dudes here, a Rhino there, a Storm Raven here, a battle barge with half a company left on it, but there would have been survivors, the bits and pieces of the 13th founding, and they drew together and became the sons of the 13th founding chapters. Many of them would have been Ultramarine successors, obviously, because Ultramarines, 50% of all the gene seed across the galaxy is Ultramarines, and many of them would have had blue or white helmets, blue because of various types of Ultramarine, and white because of veterancy, because the ones who would have survived would have mainly been veterans, and over time, they became just the 13th. And their armor changed to blue and white because unity is important, particularly when you're fighting as one force. But there's still some camo patterns on some of the vehicles and some of the armor plates. And the camo patterns are the colors to represent the colors that were once worn on all of these armors from the 13th founding. Which is why the second company of the 13th, by the way, doesn't have any camo. All the Primaris foundings, no camo on any of their suits because they're only second company Ultramarines foundings from the Ultima founding. The 13th didn't really get to strive, didn't really get to start living. They just were surviving for the first 100 or so years until they rescued their first Grand Cruiser with all the humans and all the auxiliaries on board. And that's in one of the story times videos. The planet where they came from were screwed. There was no way back for them, so the 13th kept this Grand Cruiser with thousands of human auxiliaries on board, and from that moment they started to grow a fleet, and for the next 4,000 years became a fleet-based chapter, the 13th, which consists over millions of souls, including the mass transport conveyor, the Face of the Sea, which is about 120 kilometers long. There's 1 million people that live in that thing. And the civilians in the 13th Fleet call it the Big City. Millions of humans here. There are 2 ways that you serve the fleet, essentially, if you live and grow up in the fleet. And one is to join the 13th Militarum, to do what we do. or the other one is to become one of the a navyman and join the fleet and look after the fleet and service the fleet and the ships and the people who live on board the ships. You either work or you're gone. You're a fleet-based chapter. And the 13th fleet, which consists of over 100 ships of the line as well, included the two Grand Nemesis class battleships, the Invincible and the Defiant. 10 kilometers long. What we do is we go to the places where the wars are either finally balanced or ending, or we come after, we come between, we come through. We're not under any superior. No one's telling us what to do up here. We're Space Marines. We would go where we want. And I always envisage I never really describe them as a chapter. I say, here's my Space Marine Army, here's my Space Marine Legion, here's my Space Marine Force. But I rarely describe them as a chapter because I see them as stronger than chapter size, which caps out at 1,000. I see them very much like the Space Wolves or the Black Templars. Black Templars are a crusading fleet, and they're way over. There's 100,000 Black Templars out there. There's more. In the 13th, I see them as a few thousand strong because, once the Imperial war machine has moved on and leaves the city burning and the humans to be able to rebuild themselves behind, but the cities are still overrun with chaos demons, chaos monsters, chaos everything, that's when the 13th land. Kill everything, rescue people, bring them up again. Because if you are recruiting from war-torn, war-ravaged battlefields, then the people that you're recruiting into your fleet, as well as the people who are born, lived and died on the fleet, but the people you're recruiting into your fleet are the diehards. These are the people who are very hard to kill, that were lying in the foxhole, in the bodies of their friends, while the monsters moved in the dark. Some of them you want to shoot them in the head when you find them because they're not entirely, you can't bring that back. But some of them have got that steel, cold look in their eye, and they'll happily go into a fist fight with a death corps of Krieg if you tell them to. So we recruit from the worlds we help to liberate, rescue, save, resolve. We recruit in and amongst the fleet as well. And there is no upper limit on how many aspirants can become in the Militarum and how many aspirants can actually become a Space Marine, because we're not beholden by anyone else other than Guilliman. And in space, you're either very, very, very good at fighting, or not. There's also in the story time as well. There's a number of rogue trader guilds that are now freely associated with the 13th. There's obviously a number of established safe harbors that they've been to, the fleet, places that if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't have been safe harbors at all. It's rather. There's a lot of lore there. I've got to go back and get Chaplain Snow. Dear. So anyway, where were we? Hello. Welcome to Ask the Loremaster Warhammer live stream. The Loremaster is in session. What do you mean, is that what you get? No, there's no better Loremaster than me here. We are he. We are hello. Hi. I love the 13th. Does anyone... are we all fans of the 13th in the chat? Hands up if we're 13th. Just show me that there's some life out there. I think I stun-locked you all into silence. I've got to remember that this live stream thing isn't just basically me ranting on and on and on. It's me. I'm supposed to be interacting with people rather than just ranting. Nice. Hello. You're a fan. Good. I'm a fan too. I've been reluctant about throwing them into many fights recently because they've been having a bad time with it the last few years. I have a small surprise for you. The 13th of which, no. Okay. Chaos reigns. No, the 13th will not drown in blood. What do you mean the 13th will drown in blood? The 13th have drowned in much blood recently. We'd rather you did the drowning in your blood. And we'll do the nuking from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. You like the 13th colour scene? I did a tutorial back on that like 8 years ago. Do the Necrons think they won the war in heaven, and why? Yes, they did. And why? Because they did. They killed everything. They were the only thing standing. And the Enslaver Plague ripped the galaxy apart and sucked the souls out of any intelligent being across the entire galaxy. What they're saying in Warhammer 40k is, you know, the dinosaurs, the thing that killed the dinosaurs, that wasn't a meteorite. That was the Enslaver Plague. That was the state of the galaxy after the First War in Heaven. Anything above the size of a ground squirrel or a small hamster or a duck got wiped out. And the Necrons were stood there looking at the ruins of their victory, thinking, well, we're not going to get biotransference like this, are we? And they went to sleep. They won. The Necrons are the only faction who have won complete control of the galaxy. No one else has done that. The Emperor hasn't done it. Chaos hasn't done it. Orcs never did it. Just the Necrons. For any neighborhood inquisitor, thanks for listening to the Storytime playlist. I appreciate you. The Silent King and the Stormlord are having a bit of a civil war. Yeah, there's a bit of a Necron civil war going on right now in the Pariah Nexus. The Silent King is being all ruthless and stuff, which is probably why he became a king. I mean, he's the one who authorized biotransference right at the very beginning and had the Necron tier lose their souls. Anyway, turns out he's not a nice guy. Who'd have thunk it? And that the Stormlord is being all noble and stuff and saying, look, he's going too far. And there's a bit of a civil war going on. They're having a bit of argy-bargy. Whether the Stormlord actually is noble and allows for retreats and one-on-one warrior combat, and whether this will continue or whether this is just a ploy he's ploying, we will find out. I imagine that once he puts on the suit and starts walking down that path, for the sake of the bonds that he's made with other dynasties, pacts that he's made with other dynasties, he's going to have to keep the suit on, keep the coat on. Are we going to see some new 13th Primaris hero characters? Probably. How will the Tyranids be stopped? I don't know, but that's a big question. What you can do... See, the Tyranids, assuming the Tyranids are an organism that eats galaxies. And I think that isn't the small thought. The big thought is the Tyranids are an organism that is eating all galaxies right now, and many of them are dead. And you could go to the far end to say all galaxies. The Tyranids have eaten, say, here's Grimdark, every single galaxy, infinite number of galaxies in that infinite expanding universe, say they're all dead, except for this one. What could beat the Tyranids? The answer is nothing. Nothing, except for maybe seal the Great Rift, make sure that the Empress Webway project is turned on and works and all the blinky lights are going in the green, and then take as much of humanity as you can inside the Eldar Webway, Eldar Emperor Webway, seal it all off. You only need to stay down there for a couple of days, hours, time moves a bit differently, but probably stay down there for even with the time moving differently, stay down there for a good long time, have a holiday, take some time off, but stay down and then come back up after everything is nuked, and then you live. Maybe do that. But you need to seal the rift as well, because when you come back up, you'll still have that pesky demon problem. So that's how you kill the Tyranids. You run away. Where are we? But Nids may just be these fleets. Nids may just be these fleets. You're right. They might be running from someone else. That's very grimdark, isn't it? Say the Tyranids are this vast organism thing that is eating this galaxy because it's clearly coming up under the galactic plane now. Maybe they're running away from a worse thing. A worse. So that gets grimdark. The games developers, the rules writers, the authors, the people who do the codexes, you talk to anyone at Games Workshop, and one of the core mantras that they've got in their head is it can always get worse. That's the grim dark mantra, and they've been banging that drum, and here we are 30 years on. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So yeah, they're probably running away from something even nastier. The minimum they are is this is about all of the organism we're going to see, maybe a bit more coming in, just enough, and we're actually quite finely balanced, and it might be okay. Meh. Well, if we're finely balanced and it might be okay, and this is something that destroys a galaxy, then every faction in our galaxy needs to come together to have enough strength to stop the thing that kills galaxies. So that means the Eldar working with the Votan, who high-five it with the Admech, while Abaddon and Guilliman, they're besties, they're friends now, invite each other round for tea time. The Iron Warriors stand shoulder to shoulder with the Imperial fists on the holy walls of terror. Meanwhile, those Tau and the Tau are great fun as well. We quite like them. And the Dark Eldar, oh, pesky rascals. Just don't go out partying with them on a Saturday. You'll be all right. We'll forget that we'll ignore everything else that the Dark Eldar is getting up to. And maybe if we all get together, then maybe one galaxy might have enough strength to defeat something that eats galaxies. I think we're screwed. It's 40,000 years into the future. We've forgotten how technology works. We pray to machines. Bugs are going to eat everything. Have a great time. Warhammer 40k. I've run out of coffee in my... This is the way the world ends. Mugs. Congrats to all the Mug Club members. 48 of us. Just 48. It can always get worse. High hopes for 11th edition then. It can always get worse. That's their design philosophy. So when they're looking at 11th edition, they're like, how can we make 10th worse? If Dark Elder can survive on Tyranids alone, a bit of depravity in Cormorant, you just let that go. Let their set. They can have their Saturday nights, but we've got to team up. Get rid of the Tyranids, The real Grimdark was the friends we made along the way. I don't understand what that means. I guess the real Grimdark was the friends we made along the way. I mean, that's probably a joke because I have some friends that are pretty grimdark. Ones that you wouldn't lend any money to or let near your sister. Those kind of friends. But they're still friends, You've got to have friends that are pretty grimdark because then they make your other friends feel worth it. Yeah. Any more lore questions from by further up? What happens when one high fleet meets another? Well, sometimes they get on and sometimes they eat each other. And it doesn't matter if it takes 99%, if one hive fleet is destroyed to just 1% left of its power and kills the enemy, then everything gets consumed by the hive ship that won. And Tyranids just burn each other out and then just reabsorb all that by a lot. It's bad actually when one hive fleet meets the other, because then the evolutionary advantages that the sibling ships of that hive fleet have is quite scary. Yeah. And if you don't have any grimdark friends, that means you're the grimdark friend. Hi there, Dagda. Welcome to the chat. Where would you want to live in the 40k universe? There's a few nice worlds in the 500 worlds, isn't there? With hills and mountains and lakes and stuff. Somewhere in Macragge is probably the best thing. Either that or Cormorant on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Do you think we'll see a resurgence of Erebus in the new edition? I think they've kept Erebus for... yes, I think Erebus. I mean... you need a good bad guy, like Darth Vader, like the guy with, the no nose in the Harry Potter books. You need good bad guys. And Erebus, everybody hates Erebus. And some people like him because it's come full circle. Because the hate is real, there's those cheeky word bearers players, and there's a few out there that they're doing it in the humor, like everyone hates them, so it's good. I'm going to collect them because then everyone will love killing them, and I like it when there's some I like the good humored, good-natured word bearers players that are leaning into it these days. But he's coming back, man. Erebus is coming back. Where are we? Erebus, the man, so sucky. It made him bold. He's coming. They would sell a lot of him, wouldn't they? They would sell a lot of him if Erebus came out in a Chaos Space Marines Codex at some point. He was, yeah. Lord question, what's controlling the Tyranids? That it's a hive mind. They control each other like a brain, like a neural network. So the stuff at the very edge of the neural network isn't very smart. Your swarms, your ripper swarms and smaller, your bacterial swarms, they're not very smart. The bigger the meat puppet, the more neuro connections, the more the hive mind, the more the hive nodes, the more da. So when you get back to the hive ships and the Norn queens, they're super intelligent because they have this much. Not only are they aware of this much, because that's the extent of their awareness, because they see, hear, feel the hive mind, but they've got more nodes. They can think better. So it works like that. Luton's latest video was a good one. Yes, it was. Check out Luton09 on YouTube. He's lovely. Yeah, my favourite lore dude out there. I do like the sound of his voice. What about when Typhus met Lorgar and they had a great battle until Sanguinius saved them both when he smashed the pie and the Emperor came down? Typhus met Lorgar. They had their great battle until Sanguinius saved them both when he smashed... Yes, that was a great story. Rob, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What about the orcs? Max says. Winters shouting at me. What about the orcs? The orcs are a fungal plague that has spread throughout the galaxy. If the galaxy was a nice tree, then the orcs are the fungal moss clinging all over the tree. And in some times they die in places and fall off. And in some places but you've always got the mossy bits all over the tree. And the tree is always there. The orcs are part of it. The only way to destroy them is fire. But they're spread through now. Like a microbiome on the surface of your skin, the orcs are like that on the galaxy. What about the orcs? If the Tyranids win, then no orcs. I had a question on 30k Cadia. I didn't quite understand that whole pilgrimage. Was it the Slanesh thing? Cadian speaking Colchizian. What was the Slanesh thing? Okay, so that's a great question, the Last Imperial. So in the Horus Heresy, Cadia is there. And you've got the Eye of Terror. And Lorgar and Perturabo go flying into the Eye of Terror and they land on Cadia. And when they get there, there's a bunch of people on Cadia that are speaking Colchizian, which is the home language from where Lorgar comes from, and the word bearers. And then he's like, say what? And the people on Cadia are like, say what? This is fresh. And they're talking like that to each other because they can understand each other. But why are they doing there? What's going on? I mean, Lorgar is on this pilgrimage to find some gods, to find someone worthy of praise, because after the punishment of Nicaea, he listened to the first part of what the Emperor said, not the second part of what the Emperor said. The first part of what the Emperor said was, I'm not a god, is the first part. And it's because there are no gods was the second part, is what he said. There are no gods. He's trying to get that out there. I'm not a god, don't worship me. Erebus, Lorgar's like, okay, I won't worship you, but where are the gods? So I'm biologically and metaphysically and spiritually built by you to worship a thing and to propagate that out there. And the Emperor is, yes, the thing that you should be worshipping and propagating out there is the imperial truth. That was your job. You were the iconoclast legion. And he went, okay, I'll go and find the gods then. And so he goes into the Eye of Terror and he goes to Cadia. Now, the Chaos Gods, what happened there? Why are they speaking Colchizian? Why were they waiting for him? Because they get there, they talk to Colchizian, to the Cadian people, and the Cadian people do this ritual. Ezrabel is, the demon appears, demon takes Argyltal and the first word bearers into the warp with them, back out of the warp with them. They see the gods. Lorgar also goes on his pilgrimage. After seeing that, there's a book called Aurelian, a short story, where he goes into the warp and he smacks down Agrath the Unbound, which used to be an 888 point Greater Khorne demon model from Forge World, and looks absolutely stank. It is sweet. And he smacks that down. He's like, oh, there's gods here too. Bam. death to this big thing. And he Eldar's a Titan in there as well. Titan's an Eldar. Kills an Eldar Titan on a Crone world. Anyway, that's in the book Aurelian. Yeah. So they've got to make this ritual happen on Cadia, do the sacrifice, make the demon appear, take them in. And in order to do that, why is all this happening? And the demon tells you. And unless you read it again, you can skip it because he just tells you straight out what's going on. And basically, the four great gods have seen the Horus heresy just like Eldrad Uthwain saw the Horus heresy, just like the Emperor of Mankind saw the goddamn heresy and intended the heresy to happen. As shown in the book First Lord of the Imperium, the heresy was coming. All the big players knew the heresy was coming, including the demons, and they knew that Lorgar was their chosen instrument, and these humans had been waiting there for them, for Lorgar to come to the Eye of Terror, to Cadia, to see these humans that were put there. They were a chaos worshipping thing in the background, by the way, in the ADB book. He just explains they're in a 6-pointed star temple. There's chaos runes on the floor. It's like 40k Space Marines drop pod landing in the middle of Chaos Cultist Central Necromunda. Imagine if they had the full-on symbols, the full-on signs, the 8-pointed stars, the whole worshipping thing, the praying. They started praying and singing, and Lorgars were like, what's that going on? They're doing the whole shebang. When you actually go back as well, and in book 3, see the Davenite temple where they take Horus's body. The Davenite temple, after he gets stabbed and Horus gets put in the thing and then wakes up, the Davenite temple, after the stab, after the anathema, that's an 8-pointed star. It talks about all the chains that they're wearing. Again, you read that bit again. It is full on 40k. Anyone, Inquisitor, any general, anyone over a grunt soldier, any space marine who saw any touch the iconography that went on Davin or on Cadia would immediately go exterminatus. All these guys die. It is blatant AF. But in 30k, Abaddon and the Sons of Horus had no clue what they were looking at. And Lorgar and Perturabo had no clue that they just landed in the middle of these we pray to the chaos gods guys. And Lorgar's like, this is what I'm here for. They were instruments of the chaos gods, of the undivided, in order to stop the anathema by bringing out his project and neutering stealing their flame and then dousing their fire for 1,000,000 years. The Horus Heresy series, the books that make up the Horus Heresy series, is one chapter in a war that started 30,000 years before and is continuing 10,000 years after, with the Psychic Awakening and the return of the Primarchs now. So that little bit, why are there Cadians on Cadia that speak Colchizian and have been sat there waiting for Lorgar to turn up, which are the biggest MacGuffin? Here they are. This is the perfect thing which we need to advance the story from point A to point B. Why? Because they were put there to advance the galaxy from point A to point B. They were one of the pivotal things, one of the pivotal tools that the Chaos Gods had in unveiling their fight back against the Emperor Mankind in the regicide game they've been playing with him, which ended up the heresy. Boom. That's where, and it's one of the pivotal tools, like the anathema, which was born to stab Abaddon, which Samus, the 8-bound demon, which was going to come back at the end and the death and the beginning. It's all part, symbols, things, meaning, overlapping. Who would win? Ferrus Manus versus Rogel Dawn. Rogel Dawn. Rogel Dawn was a better fighter. Rogel Dawn was one of the best fighters. Ferrus Manus, though, has got a mean hammer. Rob, sorry, my lore question was confusing. Lorgar and Sanguinius were fighting over the Cabal Blade. Yes. And then the Emperor arrives and smashes the pie right before Erebus can conjure the High Elves. That seems more like a statement again. It's lovely stuff. I don't know what to add to your thing. You're saying things. I read the things. They're lovely things to read, by the way. But I don't know how I can go from your things to another thing. So we'll leave it with you. It sounds like a you problem. Mick the Machine, the 10th edition Tyranid Codex talks about people committing suicide because Tyranids are so scary at least 3 different times. Yes. There's millions that die in the lighting of the Emperor's beacon there's loads of cases of like whole hive cities up and the Prior Nexus, for example, as it grows, there's whole hive cities there just climbing to the top and jumping off. There's loads of it gets grim in the dark. People jumping off whole hive cities, blowing themselves up is a Tuesday in Warhammer 40k. Ferris did have a good head on his shoulders. He did. It was good on his shoulders. It wasn't good elsewhere. Here's the thing that, guys, some of you might not know. His hammer, Forgebreaker, gets given to Perturabo after Isfam 5. In the Horus Heresy rules, you can have Ferrus Manus with Forgebreaker or Perturabo with Forgebreaker if you pay the points and give it to him after Isfam 5. In Ferrus Manus's hands, he swings it at initiative. He swings it first. Perturabo swings it last at initiative 1. He's not used to it yet. And in Ferrus Manus's hands, it's brutal 3, it does 3 damage. In Perturabo's hands, it does 2 damage. But here's the kicker. It's such a good hammer that even though Perturabo's a bit crap with him, you still want him to have it. Because it's better than anything he could make. But Ferrus Manus is a G. Dear. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you. Which side would you stand on during the Badab uprising? I'll probably stand southwest, I think. Winter's not going. I don't know where your lore question is, damned Legion. I've missed you. Like I said, I'm going to be ranting. If you really want to grab my attention with the lore question, the best way to ask me is super chat it. And I'm not just saying that, but I'd appreciate it. But it's because we're in full rant mode. So I've missed some. Where are we? Hello. Hi, Stuart. Did I get here in time? Hope everyone's doing well. Stuart Fields from New Zealand, everybody. Everyone give him a warm round of applause. This is Stuart. I don't know if you've met Stuart, but he's been trying to come. Warm round of applause for Stuart, please, chat. Come on, chat. He's been trying to get here on time from New Zealand for like the last month. And he keeps failing. But he's finally here because it's like 3:30 in the morning there. And I'm not even sure New Zealand is a warm place. There you go, Stuart. You've had a little bit of applause there. But you are here on time for this winter's SEO live stream. And if you'd like to ask the Loremaster, I am ready. I am hot and ready. I am the Loremaster. I know. I'm the Loremaster, not someone else. It's not like Ask the Loremaster and then you sit down and turn it on and loot and sack here. I'm the Loremaster. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the Loremaster now. Hi, Krug66. Damn Legion is you're a Kiwi as well. There's 2 Kiwis. I don't think there's ever been 2 Kiwis in the chat before. I'm not sure exactly whether New Zealand exists and whether there's more than 2 of them out there. I understand there's a lot of sheep, though, and hobbits. In that respect, I guess it's a lot like Wales. 8-pointed star, 8 Chaos Gods. I'm not sure how that works. There's many Chaos Gods. There's the big 4, but they're not the only ones. Yeah, I do have the Shades, and the Shades is a sign of a Loremaster, as you know. What? Stuart Fields. Was Malcador ever young and not tired? Yeah. At some point he was young and not tired. 4,900 and... How old was he in that? He's almost 5,000 years old. And remember, before he met me, he was not the Emperor. No. Oh, he was not the Emperor. No, you get it wrong. I wasn't there for him. He wasn't the Emperor until he met me. Yeah, he was still probably old at that point. But he must have got up and done stretches in the morning, was able to play five-a-side football on a Sunday. You know what I mean? There was a point. Do I think the Eldar gods were old ones? No. And I'll tell you why I don't think the Eldar gods were old ones. The Eldar are as equally at home in the warp as they are in real space. And back in the day, before the warp was a bit blurry, a little bit of a puddle of mud, when it was not that puddle of mud, those artists, it was a clean, smooth lake. It wasn't too, and they would be equally at home in the warp as they were in real space, popping around, doing web-based, doing all that sort of stuff. The gods exist. The big four chaos gods exist because of the way existence, because of entropy, because everything, all the time, all at once. These are manifestations of, they're echoes of the real. And Eldar gods, as equally bound in both spaces, will have had echoes of their real with a lot more resonance, with a lot more potency, with a lot more, with what humans can do, but turned up to 11. Their gods were gods because they would have been in the warp. Like Gork and Mork is in the warp. Or Gork or possibly Mork, both of them. You can imagine the two orc gods constantly beating the crap out of each other and everyone around them in the warp for eternity. And they are there because the orcs believe in it. And the green tide energy helps manifest that. And it self-perpetuates the green tide energy back out again. A bit like Faith does in the Prior Nexus, and Faith with the Emperor's divinity, which was shown to be effective at the end of the Solar War, right at the very end of the death, how belief has a power of its own, and now it's transcending even the Prior Nexus in the 41st millennium. It's a thing, yo. Did I answer the question? I think I did. So the Eldar gods, yes, were not old ones. They were gods. Probably originally manifestations of archetypes that their species would have naturally believed in or manifested. Gork, Mork, Malal, Dark King, equal 8. There's many more. Damn it, there's more than 8 Chaos Gods. As many as you can pray to. See, look, there are people say, like, what happens to bunny souls and Bambi souls? And what about the god of nice things and cookies that all 4-year-olds believe in? What about the Tooth Fairy? I'm here to tell you that those gods exist in the warp as well. But every time they manifest, they're ripped apart and their entrails are eaten by the big four straight away. Corn goes straight for the god of Tooth Fairies is appearing all the time. Santa Claus appearing all the time in the warp. All the nice things in the bunnies, they're in the warp all the time as well, and they're eaten. The nasty ones feast on their souls. It's a brutal place. Only the nastiest of the nasty and the most primeval have the most power. There's more than 8. There's more than 8. Them, you know. So there's the big 4, but there might be 5 of them. Malal is one, and then is Malal a manifestation of the Dark King or not? Is that a separate thing? I feel like they're trying to tell us that Malal and the Dark King are the same thing. Vashtor, but Vashtor's too early and he knows it because, well, that's a whole other thing. If only they had the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. 1 must count to 2 and then proceed directly to 3. Thou must now not count to 4, and 5 is right out. Gork and Mork are the only gods needed to be praised. Maybe because of corn. But corn wouldn't like it. Corn only likes blood. Blood. My name is Tim. Is it? Hi, Tim. Oh, dear. Where are we? Lorquet was Malcador. Let's go up a bit. Here's no. Do you know? I think I answered all of that. Did you check out Chaos Gate Demon Hunters? Adam, welcome to the chat. Thanks for dropping in. I didn't. I had a busy week last week. I think I said that on the chat last week. I was a bit busy last week, so I didn't have a chance to check it out. What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? African or European? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't check it out. Keep poking me. I might not. I mean, if it's addictive, I'll be in there, mate. I can't. I've got a very compulsive personality. I've a really low impulse drive. You know, impulse, not drive. A really high impulse drive. A real low ability to stop my impulses. I can't. There's no cookies in this house or alcohol, because if there were cookies, I'd eat them all. And if there were alcohol, I'd drink it all. I've got to stay away from all the video games that are really addictive, because if I do them, I'll play them all the way to the hardest level at the expense of everything else. She's not here this week as well, so she knew that she needed to cook for me before she went. So instead of cooking a couple of things, I've got enough food to feed a small village. It's yeah, so I think I might need to stay away from it, particularly if it's really good. Magnus did plenty wrong. Where do you stand on the Votan's law? It did well. They did well. The Votan law works because it's hard to hide a big species. You can hide many species in the galaxy. The galaxy is a big place. The Tau, in my mind, are one of an example of hundreds of lesser xenospecies. I mean, even in the Tau, you have the Vespids and the crew. So there's 3 xenospecies right there. There'd be hundreds of them throughout the galaxy, which are, let's face it, if the Imperium decided to bother with them properly, they'd be gone. And the Votan are not that. The Votan are big. And where do you hide a big faction? Right in the middle of the galaxy, where you obviously can't get to. How do you get to the center of the galaxy? It's supposed to be impossible to get there against the laws of physics itself. Well, in the dark age of technology, we know that mankind reached its zenith and was able to bypass the laws of physics itself, or have such science fiction pushed technology to such a level that, in the words of Arthur C. Clarke, the technology would seem indistinguishable from magic to us today. So they were able to go to the core and deep in the core and the things there, and stayed there, and they are children of Earth. Are they any more or less the children of Earth than a Martian priest, half bionicized up, or a space marine, half bionicized up? That's a word now. The Loremaster says so. With all it, who is less human? A space marine, a tech priest, a navigator, an astropath, someone from the leagues of Votan? Yes, they're less. They're dirty squats. Okay, good answer. Thank you, chat. Of course they are. They're Xenos. We've got to nuke the Xenos. Dirty squat Xenos. Nuke them from orbit. Only way to be sure. So Chaos Demon Gates it's great. Chaos. Is anyone else, hands up in the chat, if anyone else here has actually played this Chaos Gate Demon Hunters? Or is it just Adam? Because if it's truly great, Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, then lots of people would have played it. And I'll see a swarm of hands in the chat. It's like, have you played Halo? Like, swarm of hands in the chat. Have you watched The Lord of the Rings? Swarm of hands in the chat. Great things. Have you played Chaos Gate Demon Hunters? Hands up. Suffer not the alien to live. What's your biggest plot hole or gripe with the current story? The Craftworld Eldar are still alive. They should be gone. They're dying. See, no hands in the chat. Do you think the Imperium could really choose to wipe out a smaller race like Tau? Yes, they've done it many times before. They could do it. If there wasn't, in the grim darkness of the future, far future, there is only war. The Imperium is mainly at war with itself. More than 50% of its wars, like the Sabbath Worlds Crusades, are killing other people in the Imperium. All chaos and chaos action, those sorts of things. The uprising, the civil war is the biggest thing. But squishing the Tau, I mean, one proper fleet, a Segmentum Pacificus fleet would, I think, I mean, what did they sent the first, and they did send the first Armada and something like the 20th Armada to Mughlem Bay after the Damocles Gulf incident. The first time the Tau crossed the Damocles Gulf, Farsight, all that sort of stuff. They sent in the first and 28th members of the Pacificus fleet. So 4% of their power. And the Tau, I mean, the Tau won, but the Tau were screwed. And that was with 4% of their power. And that was the end of, I mean, Farsight was there, but that was the end of Pure Tide, all of that stuff. That was their first humbling, and that's why Farsight got cut off from the Ethereals on the other side of the Damocles Gulf. And that was 4% of one of the Segmentum Pacificus fleet. One of them. And they got 4, and then that's even before we throw in Space Marines. So let's say if half of the Segmentum Pacificus fleet was not engaged in other tasks, that's too much, even quarter of them. But half they could get rid of the Tau Empire in a week, a couple of weeks. Bear in mind that the Tau don't have faster than light travel. So you could appear all of their home worlds at the same time. Oh dear. They wouldn't even be able to warn each other. Where are we? Not everyone has played 40k, but that's great. I know, it's nice to think that the Imperium could actually do something if they pulled their finger out, but unfortunately most of the time they're fighting each other and everyone else in the grim darkness of the far future. There is only war. What do you think an Imperium dedicated to chaos would look like? A bit like Imperium Nihilus, or go to any chaos world. Go to read the Euroventrius series from Graham McNeil, the third one. He goes to Medingrad. There's a couple of places, there's a couple of books which lean into it, so you can get an impression of what it would be like. And not nice is the answer. Yeah, I mean, of course they can. Read the first 3 Heritage book. Lucan talks about a couple of races that were wiped out. Well, you've also got the Interrex, right? So the Interrex were at the end of book 2, the Interrex. Anyway, they had the one where they got the dagger from. It took 2 legions 9 months to get rid of them. And that had a xenospecies along with the humans, and they were more technologically advanced than the Blood Angels fleet and the Sons of Horus, who were screwing them at the time. Where are we? Okay, I agree. Their power level is well above and beyond the need to destroy them. Yeah, it's, well, we're otherwise engaged. 3 million copies of Chaos Gate sold. Demon Gate, that's okay, so they're doing really well. You've seen Helldivers on the old interwebs yet? It's not available on Xbox. It's because Helldivers looks very 40k. You can tell that the people who wrote Helldivers clearly wanted to play a bit of 40, or clearly inspired and had been aware of 40k. Phil, thank you for joining the 13th at tier 3. I appreciate you, sir. Welcome to the 13th Fleet. You, sir, will get an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday, and I hope you enjoy them. And don't forget to jump into the Discord as well. There's some lovely people in there. By the way, if any of them are in chat right now, or any of them watch this in the VOD squad afterwards, the people in the Discord who say hello to all the new people who come into the Discord, all of you in the Discord that do that, I do really appreciate that. It warms my heart when I'm in there and there's the welcome room and the new people are in there, and a few, it's like my community is so nice. I love my community. You're good people, you know. Good people. Is Gazgal on the cusp of becoming a Krork? No. Wasn't the Damocles Crusade centuries before the current Cadia? Yes. Not about 100 plus years, maybe 200. They did janky around the timeline with the Great Rift. And also then you have the parallax problem, the time problem after the Great Rift as well. But third sphere of expansion was over 100 in Tau. I think of it in Tau years, you see, because, well, it's definitely 100 years before the fourth sphere. and then they wake up Shadow Sun, don't they, for the 5th, because she was all asleep. Farsight's still going strong because he's got a Necron blade that drinks the souls of his enemies. Terminids, and there's Terminids and Helldivers too. Helldivers too, man. You bring in democracy across the galaxy. I love the look of that game, and if it was on the Xbox, I'd be playing the shit out of it. Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, though. I've got it up here. Did I write it down? It's because I didn't put it on my sticky notes. I didn't put any of my sticky notes. When I'm sat here on a Tuesday and I look up and I see the sticky notes, like Return of the Primarch, which I did watch. Warzone Heresy Scotland. I did promote them. Check out Warzone Heresy Scotland on Facebook if you're in Scotland and looking for Heresy games. I promoted then the banners, the Grey Knights. Someone mentioned about the Grey Knights, and I had to think. I did have a look. It's going to have to wait until after the AdMech. And then Chaos Gate. I'll check it out. You're saying it's good. If it pulls me in there, if it pulls me off out of the real world, it will get messy. Winter's my man. Please tell me Mortarion can't be redeemed. He can't be redeemed. Not now. Once you fall to Chaos, once you become a Demon Primarch, there ain't no way back again. Once you add in a little bit of black, no matter how much white you add, you'll never get past grey. He's gone. He's all the way in. Can we do Orcs allied to new Blood Angels versus Nids rematch? Orcs? Blood Angels allied together. That'd be hilarious. Prometheus, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone. I think. See, we know he's gone. We know Angron's gone. We know Fulgrim's gone. Now, Perturabo's supposed to be a Demon Primarch as well, but it would be interesting when they get round to Alfarius, if he isn't a Demon Primarch, like somehow he managed to retain his soul. It'd be more interesting when they get round to doing Perturabo to not make him a Demon Primarch. When the Perturabo model comes out, say he's big and swollen like Abaddon, like they've been just gifting him up all this time, gifting him up. And he's been going like, no, I will not take your power. You know, like Abaddon, no, you cannot tempt me. But as a wafer thin mint, no, just one wafer thin mint, fuck off, I'm full. You know, Abaddon has been bossing it. He didn't have the mint, even though he's a bit swole. They could do that with Perturabo as well, and that would be epic, I think. Yeah. Will there be another Hobby Apocalypse battle report this year? Yes. You just gotta give a little push. Will we ever see a Spooky Ghost Raven? Yes. So Korax, Spooky Ghost Korax. So all the Primarchs, we all understand, have got a little bit of warp in them, right? The Emperor Soul stole some fire from the gods, mixed it with some human goo in the Primarch gestation pods below Terra in order to use their gene seed that he farmed from these pods to make Space Marines. And he was farming and making the first Space Marines from their gene seed before they got stolen and spread across the galaxy, which brings about the first question, which is, was stage 1 of the Emperor's plan never to let them go? Never to bring these beings to physical life. Just here's some fire from the gods, here's some Genecraft goo, stick them together, put them in an incubator pod, it makes gene seed. Off the back of the gene seed, I get my Space Marines done. Did he really want some perpetuals walking around with him? Handmade perpetuals with a bit of him in them to lead armies and do the whole Imperium thing. I think that was probably phase 2 of his plan, because he didn't have a plan. He had lots of goals, signposts like, if I can make this happen, or if I can make this happen, or with adapt. Different permutations. And it would be good. So Korax is got a bit of, they've all got a bit of warp in them. Corax is said to be now a demon crow type thing, but a good guy demon crow who's been hunting in the High of Terror forever, for the last 10,000 years and killing bad guys. It'd be nice if a good boy demon comes back who's embraced the warp goodness inside of them, because you got to remember that the warp is neither good nor bad. It just is. I mean, librarians use warp power. Astropaths. There's lots of this. The Emperor of Mankind, Malkador. They were warp. They're psychers. There's good that can be drawn. So Corax coming back as a super and Perturabo being returned as not a demon, being able to resist it. Well, that'd be good. They could do things like that, but I imagine they won't. I imagine Perturabo will come back as a demon. Primarch and Corax will come back as Corax with a sword. And it'll be the Emperor's Spear, because we've got the Emperor's Sword, we've got the Emperor's Shield, we need the Emperor's Spear, we need the Emperor's Hammer, we need the Emperor's Toolbox, and most importantly, we need the Emperor's pair of Crocs for when you're just walking around your house on a Tuesday. Good evening, Just Craig. It's a law night. If you have any law questions, you can ask the Loremaster. And I know you're asking yourself right now, who is the Loremaster? Well, it's me, of course. It's me. I'm the Loremaster. Look at me. I'm the Loremaster now. You're not getting another Loremaster because you don't need one. I'm all the Loremaster you need. Warp is neither good or bad. Seems like something a heretic would say. The warp is part of the fabric of reality in the 41st millennium. It is. And it always has been. Just like the places between. Extant space. The webway. The other places between. Pandemonium. Corax will get a claw. Russ will get a spear. And I'm saying if Russ gets a spear and Corax will get a claw, and then the Emperor is given out many weapons from his arsenal. The Lion getting a shield seems like a pretty low thing though. But if the Corax is getting a claw and Russ is getting a spear, what would other people get? What is Rogel Dawn getting? Is Rogel Dawn getting a nice sander, jigsaw, something to do some building with, like a drill? He's getting something from B&Q, isn't he? I am the Loremaster. Yes, exactly. I'm not reporting to my local friendly neighborhood inquisitor. You could ask me to report to my local Ordo Hereticus officer for questioning, but I am not. I am the Loremaster. He needs to come to me. That's how this works. There's no heretical stuff going on here talking about the warp. I'm just preaching the truth, brother. Templars versus the end of all things. That was grand. Thank you for your donation, Prometheus. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate that you liked the Templar versus the end of all things. That was a good one. Sultan liked it. I liked it. I enjoyed playing that one. So much so that when he next comes around, we're going to do another 3000.1. And instead of Templars versus the end of all things, it's going to be Blood Angels versus the end of all things at 3000 points. We want to be able to see what the Blood Angels can do. Now they have +2 strength on the charge to get +1 attack, +2 strength on the charge, which makes some of the unit builds for Blood Angels quite juicy. You'd hope Dawn would get an Emperor's Claw to replace his Miz and Han. My Lord of Hammer of War. Dawn gets the armor. Yeah. Well, yeah. Who gets the different weapons? Dawn will get the Emperor's Codpiece. Winters is the true origin of Malkador. I am not the true origin of Malkador. It's just... But Malkador did wear a flat cap. You are right. In many of the scenes, it doesn't describe it sometimes, but he's definitely got a flat cap. Prometheus, William, thank you for joining the 13th at Tier 1. I appreciate you. Enjoy your emojis and things like that after your name. After the things, it's good. And if you upgrade to Tier 2, you can join the Discord. Tier 3, you can get an extra battle report every single Wednesday. But showing your support at Tier 1 is also very much appreciated. Much love to you. I just mentioned that because there's a few people who have done the thing and realized, oh bugger, I wanted the other, but they pressed the wrong button. Dawn gets the Emperor's plate because he's hungry. It's +2 strength on the charge. You're right. And +1 attack on the charge. Yes. If Dawn came back, he would tell Rupert Guilliman to do one. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. There is... When Guilliman split the legions apart, Dawn said yes. There's only 2 that we know that... Well, one that definitely said no, that was Leman Russ. He said, sod you, I'm not touching my legion. And the other one, the Lion, the legions... Caliban happened and he disappeared before the second founding. And the Lion, being the Lion, would have definitely said no. Thank you for the biscuit money, Killer Creeksman. I appreciate you. I will buy some hobnobs with that. She's not here this week, so I'm just basically lying in a pile of hobnob. I'm quite looking forward to some decaf. I'm enjoying a decaf late at night because I'm, instead of a tea, because tea has still got caffeine in it, so I'm having a decaf to dip the hobnobs in. You know what I mean? Soften up those biscuits. Yeah. And if in the tea, it's a bit caffeine. I don't want a caffeine at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, so I'll have a decaf. But I haven't got any biscuits, so I'll have to go to Lakewood Sainsbury's, which means I leave the house today, which is a good thing. So thank you for the biscuit money. Yeah, and then Caliban happened, and the Lion disappeared before his legion, the second found. So I don't think Dawn will tell him to do one, but the Lion would, and Leman Russ would. Ben, thank you for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Dawn genocided his legion against the Iron Warriors to break them apart. I don't think that he's going to be all there. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that, which they give you in the end of the Death Season. Yeah, you find out why Dawn, well, I mean, it's safe to say it's not a spoiler to say that everyone is a bit changed after the heresy. Dawn is very changed, and there's reasons for it, and they tell you the reasons for it. And let's face it, the Iron Cage might be the first time that the Imperial Fists were completely wiped out, but it isn't the second time. I mean, who would collect the Imperial Fists? Who? They've been wiped out at least twice, as far as we know it. That's not an accident. That's a pattern, that is. So they've probably been wiped out like a few hundred times. That probably has to happen if you're the doormat of the Imperium. Last place where you go to wipe your feet before you go to the real place that you want to get to. They're in the way, really, of the Emperor of Mankind. They should... Yeah, that's the Imperial Fist, anyway. And whoever... I mean, Yella. People who collect fists. Yella. You want true blue Imperium Space Marines, I think. Not yellow ones. Do you think you will get a review Solar Auxilia box from G Dubs? It's yes and no. Well, the thing is, G Dubs send me a lot of stuff. I'm very fortunate to be in the position where I am, where they can send me lots of stuff, books, boxes, things like that. It's really good. But they also miss out on half of the stuff that I really want them to send. It's weird. If I get one thing, I'm pleased. I keep waiting for the day when Games Workshop turn around and say, hey, you know that partnership scheme that we do? Well, we're not doing it anymore. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Appreciate the times that we had together. Thanks for the 3 stuff. So I do get a lot of stuff, but I also get a lot of stuff I also don't get a lot of stuff, which is the stuff that I want to get. So I think it's likely, but if I did or didn't get it, I couldn't tell you about it until the NDA anyway. But asking the question a different way, which is, would it be nice to get some of this stuff? And are you excited for Solar Auxilia? The answer to that is hell yeah, bring it on. I think the Solar Auxilia box and the Solar Auxilia plastic kits are actually going to overperform Not because there's suddenly going to be a big swarm of Solar Auxilia players. There might be some, but because I've spoken to a lot of Imperial Guard players and messaged me in the Discord and stuff like that who are excited to get some of the new sculpts for their Guard. So they can run 40k Guard, but instead of using the 40k, we can use these tanks and these looking tanks and mix some of the tanks in there and mix some of the infantry in there so that their Guard force looks suitably unique and cool. I think there's some overlap there, which means they're going to... What I'm saying is they're going to sell more Solar Auxilia than they probably planned because there's some bunch of 40k players that are going to get it as well. I'm just finished painting a yellow Space Marine army. Never again. Exactly, Mick the Machine. How easy is yellow to paint? Not at all, is the answer. Not at all. Yellow is a murder. You should never paint yellow. Did I get the Art of the Horus Heresy? No. Ben, so is this the tier level where Winter's paints beginning and tries to measure the size of my... No, that isn't, no. If you had to write the final story, what would you envisage the end of the 40k universe story to be? Good guys win, chaos win, it's all cyclic and begins again. The end is the Tyranids eat everything, it's all over the end. Given the lore that we have so far, it's likely the Tyranids are going to win and win easy. I think people underestimate the threat, the scale of the Tyranid threat. There's been a few times they've been blunted or slowed, like Octavius and the Pride Nexus, or skipped. Or I think they've won. It's all over. The thing is, though, the galaxy is big. Apparently, it's really big, and it will take. Say there's, was it 120 billion, or billion stars. Let's just say that there's, I don't know, you can do the math, you can run the math, like a few million here, it takes millions of years for a galaxy to die. It won't be M40, it'll be M1,040,000 by the time the Tyranids have done all because it's just the numbers, just because the amount of planets around stars and things. But in the end, they eat us, we die. It's sad, the end. But at least we've got another, M40. So for 40,000 years, we've been, it's M40. So for 38,000 years in Warhammer 40k time, 38,000 years, we've had spaceships. That's from, Sputnik. 38,000. There'll be 1,038,000 years before the Tyranid thing, which is why the Emperor's Webway project is the right idea, and we need to embrace the Emperor, stop being heretics, and follow the Emperor of mankind. Nids win, then Nurgle claims it all. No, there'll be no biomass left. It'll just be Tyranid worlds that are dead, that they've moved from, are like fossilized bone structures with no atmosphere floating in space. Imagine this dead bone world with every mineral, vegetable, animal, vegetable, mineral sucked out of it, and the atmosphere, and the rivers, and the soil, and the bacteria, and everything. And all it leaves is these calcified bone structures of hive towers spinning in the dead void. It's beautiful. Sounds like a garden, but there's nothing to rot there, Prometheus. There's no... Where's the sludge? The sludge must flow. Yes, it's like Swindon. Do chaos exist in the universe with only Nids? No. Well, they do, because chaos, the warp, is the reflection of... It's part of this universe. So... Does chaos exist in the universe? Yes, because chaos is part of the universe. It's the universe exists. Physical universe and the material and immaterial universe are different sides of the dinner cloth. You look over the dinner cloth on the underside where all the crumbs get caught and the bits. That's the bit. So chaos would be good guy Nids. Chaos would be good guy Nids. No. Is Alpharius working with the king in yellow? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Tyranid's ganging up on. We've got no. It'll bring no. I mean, yeah, that's what I said. Tyranids need ganging up on, but it's not going to happen. That's the thing. We do need to gang up, everyone together. Tyranids need ganging up on, but no, it's not going to happen. It's not. It's not. King in Yellow Dawn. No. Constantine Valdor. Angrier Corn Tyranids. The warp doesn't like the Tyranids. The Tyranids have something called Shadow in the Warp. And any psychic creature, when they hear the psychic Shadow in the Warp get closer and closer and closer and closer to the quickest and best way to understand the Shadow in the Warp is, you know, the hiss of static that you get on radios or TVs and things like that. If you crank that up to not 11, but if you crank that up to 11,000 and put it on your head, that's the Shadow in the Warp. It blots out everything. Demons don't like that. It sounds right. I know. It sounds wrong. It sounds wrong. You don't get no... The Tyranids are pretty good at combating chaos because chaos is drowned by the Shadow in the Warp, as is anything that is psychically psychic. I used words. Psychically psychic. Deep Loremaster words there. Sometimes I impress myself. Yellow Tyranids will take cover. Maybe. Yellow King Tyranids. The Yellow King riding on Tyranids. Painted them yellow. Don't paint your Tyranids yellow. No, if you get a Nurgle infected Tyranid, however, you should really take it to the vet straight away. Don't keep your Nurgle infected Tyranid at home. If chaos is a reflection of humanity, the reflection of the hive mind would be beneficial, life-giving species. Good guy, Nids. It doesn't reflect. The Shadow in the Warp doesn't reflect. It casts shadow. The static inflames, pours over, smothers, shadows. No reflection, no nothing. The warp recoils from it so that there isn't... Yeah. You can't be a Psyker in the middle of a Tyranid invasion. Well, you can for a very short period of time and then your brain blows up. Is it really? It's really that bad. Is this the richest lore and universe of any entertainment product these days, even Lord of the Rings? It probably is one of them. It's probably definitely, I mean, Lord of the Rings. The thing about Lord of the Rings is it was the birth of a new genre, and Warhammer 40k has done a thing to the genre, made it grim in the dark, the sci-fi, hasn't. It's definitely a new kind of sci-fi direction, but it isn't a whole new genre. Like, there wasn't fantasy really before Lord of the Rings. There were fantasy-esque stories like Beowulf, or, I mean, Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis. You could see what he was going for. There was... what is it? Nursery rhymes and old folks' tales and old Englishy tales and things and folk tales from other parts of Europe. And then there was the tragedies and the ancient Greek, but there wasn't really wizards and dwarves and elves and dragons until there was Tolkien. And now wizards and dwarves, they're everywhere now. He sort of started a whole new genre. So 40k is definitely taking a left turn from the sci-fi genre, but it's sci-fi genre. So the influence of Lord of the Rings cannot be understated. What a G Tolkien was. 40k though, the lore that exists is deep, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Erda, maybe not. I hope not. Won't Blackstone be the answer to Tyranids? I think Blackstone at the moment is a bit of a MacGuffin And that seems to be the answer to Chaos, or the answer to Imperium, or the answer to... We'll see what happens with Blackstone going forward, but it's a bit MacGuffin-y right now. They need to sharpen that up. Or maybe the idea is to leave it a bit MacGuffin-y, which is a bit... It's fine. It's fine. It's good. Gene Stealer Coats. Can they mix with the Warp? Only if they get a nice invite. If you have an invite and you're in a Gene Stealer cult, then you can go along to those Warp parties. If you don't have the invite, then you can't go. Where are we? We're an hour and a half in. So we will start wrapping up soon. This is your 2-minute warning. Thank you for riding me on this journey one more time. Thank you for coming and asking the Loremaster some questions. Thank you to anyone in the VOD squad watching this later on. If you are in the VOD squad, thank you for commenting in the last video saying, I'm still here. I'm in the VOD. If you could do that again in this one, I'd appreciate it. I see you. And if there's any more questions in the chat, this is your 2-minute warning. But I think I need a shower. I need to get some more fluid in me. Thank you. Cheers. Good. I'm glad. Yes. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Mick. Thanks, Just Craig. I do like talking lore. Did the old ones plan for humans? Maybe. We're a bit unclear there. That some depends. There is a possibility that the old ones spawned lots of life, including us. Yes. Adam, thank you. After completing the end of the death, 3, I hope they leave the angel alone. We shall see. Night. His death was epic. It was. His death was epic. I think they let the angel go out in style, like the book before the end of the death that ADB did. It was good old, they knew what was happening to Sanguinius. We all knew what was going to happen to Sanguinius, and he went out with a bang, and I do appreciate that. Because Ferrus didn't get much of a ban before he went out. It does leave a bit of a gap for Iron Hands players. You did catch more than 35 seconds of the stream this week. Well done, Stuart. Thank you, The Last Imperial. Last Imperial, that's tier 9, remember? Tier 9 or 10 or something. It's one of the tiers. Coming soon. Anyway, guys, thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate you dropping into the live stream this evening. That was fun. We should do it again sometime when the Loremaster returns to Winter's SEO YouTube channel.